We begin tonight with a president in crisis, all of his own making. He's deeply unpopular with the American people, and over the next hour, we are going to discuss a variety of reasons and consequences for Donald Trump's tanking approval ratings. The economic news is bad, and voters don't think he's doing enough about that. We saw on Tuesday the enthusiasm at the ballot box is with the Democrats, not with Donald Trump's Republican Party. And now he started a war that, according to lawmakers who've seen this nation's most sensitive intelligence, he had no legitimate reason to start. The administration has also admitted as much by offering multiple and at times conflicting reasons for this war. So unsurprisingly, this is a war that, like the president himself, is deeply unpopular. Peter Baker summed it up this way in his analysis for the New York Times, quote, President Trump likes to assert that he has accomplished things no other president has. With the opening of his military assault against Iran, he has achieved another distinction. He is the first president in the era of modern polling to take the United States to war without the support of the public, end quote. Now, this war is unpopular because over the last 25 years, this nation has already been through two wars that dragged on and on and on. Far too many members of our military paid the ultimate price for those wars, returning home in flag-draped coffins. Far too many Iraqi and Afghan citizens were killed. Trillions of dollars were spent. And there's been precious little to point to from either war that can be called an accomplishment. And yet somehow, here we are again. And according to every poll taken since this war started, most of this nation is watching in horror, wondering just what the hell is going on. Today, Donald Trump made his clearest comments yet on what he wants in his war of choice against Iran. It's regime change. He posted on social media, quote, there will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender and the selection of a great and acceptable leader. Who's supposed to surrender? What leaders? The citizens of Iran? Does Donald Trump think that they're reading his social media posts? And never mind that Iran's foreign minister said yesterday that Iran is not looking to negotiate with the United States, let alone surrender. That's even as Israel launched a new wave of attacks on Iranian infrastructure in Tehran tonight, including the country's primary international airport. Donald Trump and his top officials have not ruled out the possibility of sending in ground troops. Officials told the Washington Post about a sudden change of plans for the 82nd Airborne Division, which specializes in ground combat. Quote, the Army in recent days abruptly canceled a major training exercise for the headquarters element of an elite paratrooper unit, fueling speculation within the Defense Department that soldiers specializing in ground combat and a range of other missions may be sent to the Middle East as the conflict with Iran widens. Today we learned that Russia is providing Iran with intelligence that it can use to target American forces in the Middle East. Citing multiple sources, the Washington Post calls it, quote, the first indication that another major U.S. adversary is participating, even indirectly, in the war. Russia has passed the location of U.S. military assets, including warships and aircraft. Analysts said that the sharing of intelligence would fit the pattern of Iran's strikes against U.S. forces, including command and control infrastructure, radar, and temporary structures like the one in Kuwait, where 6 service members were killed. But here's the interesting thing. Watch how Donald Trump dismissed a question about Russia helping Iran today.
It sounds like the Russians are helping Iran target and attack Americans now.
That's an easy problem compared to what we're doing here. I mean, but can I be honest? It's just, I have a lot of respect for you. You've always been very nice to me. What a stupid question that is to be asking at this time. We're talking about something else.
What a stupid question to be asking at this time. Asking a question about a war in which America is involved, in which so far 6 people have died. 6 service members have died. Lots of other people have died. And the president called that a stupid question. In the next 12 hours, there will be a dignified transfer for 6 U.S. service members who lost their lives in Donald Trump's war of choice. It will take place at Dover Air Force Base at 10 a.m. tomorrow. As the Trump administration prepares to welcome home the first of what could be more dead U.S. soldiers today, the White House inexplicably released, I just want to make sure you're sitting down for this. They released this video mashup of old movies, cartoons, Breaking Bad, and war.
Wake up, Daddy's home.
Welcome home, son.
Strength and honor.
Strength and honor.
What will you do without freedom?
Mavericks inbound.
You can't conceive of what I'm capable of.
Finishing this fight.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
I am the danger. Time to find out.
Maximum effort.
Here it comes. Now end this.
Flawless victory.
That came from your White House. Over 1,200 people in 9 different countries are dead since last Saturday. And according to UNICEF, more than 190 children have been reported killed in the region since the weekend's military escalations. This includes 181 children in Iran, 7 children in Lebanon, 3 children in Israel, and 1 child in Kuwait. Many of those Iranian children were among the roughly 175 killed in an attack on a girls' elementary school on Saturday. And now we're learning that the U.S. is likely responsible for that attack, with the highest reported civilian death toll so far in this war. Evidence assembled by the New York Times, quote, indicates the school building was severely damaged by a precision strike that occurred at the same time as attacks on an adjacent naval base operated by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and official statements that U.S. forces were attacking naval targets near the Strait of Hormuz, where the IRGC base is located, suggest they were most likely to have carried out the strike, end quote. Donald Trump's war is not making America stronger. In fact, our next guest, Professor Timothy Snyder, believes that the opposite is true. Quote, we are at war now, a war that is transparently one of a series of masculinity contests. Our American strongman is strong because he is stronger than the other strongmen. He can abduct Maduro. He can assassinate Khamenei. He is performing relative strength at huge cost to others. It's another question, of course, as to whether any of this makes the United States stronger. The use of force in this way is obviously illegal in terms of both international and domestic law. Breaking international and domestic institutions will tend to make the United States as a country weaker rather than stronger. That's a tragedy made all the worse by the lives lost on both sides in a war that is making this nation weaker. Donald Trump said something to Time magazine about that loss of life yesterday, and I think historians of the future will point to it as one of the most callous and confounding things he's ever uttered while in office, and that's saying something. Here's what he said, quote, like I said, some people will die. When you go to war, some people will die. Today, at the funeral of the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, a different American president spoke words that feel like a true antidote to the nihilism of the current occupant of the Oval Office.
Every day you wake up to things you just didn't think were possible. Everywhere we see greed and bigotry being celebrated, and bullying and mockery masquerading as strength. So it may be tempting to get discouraged, to give in to cynicism. It may be tempting for some to compromise with power and grab what you can, or even for good people to maybe just put your head down and wait for the storm to pass. But this man, Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson, inspires us to take a harder path. His voice calls on each of us to be heralds of change, to be messengers of hope, to step forward and say, send me. Wherever we have a chance to make an impact, whether it's in our school or our workplaces or our neighborhoods or our cities, not for fame, not for glory, or because success is guaranteed, but because it gives our life purpose. Because it aligns with what our faith tells us God demands. And because if we don't step up, no one else will.